So we are talking about books that we're reading, and they don't necessarily have to have a real estate perspective. And that was kind of the point. What books, what takeaways, golden nuggets from other industries can we take and glean something from that we can then apply toward our real estate investing or a real estate business at large, or maybe just any kind of general business. So I thought that'd be pretty fun. So what have you been reading? What are we going to talk about today from your end?
My end, to start off the year, I've been reading The Lord's Prayer for Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, let's go. Cool.
Yeah. I love to at least once or twice a year to take a look at my day-to-day routine from the absolute macro of all macro scales to make sure mind, heart, body, spirit is all in line 50 years down the road, 40, 30, 20 to this week to this day, making sure I'm all in line spiritually. So yeah, that's how I kicked off the year. What about you?
Cool. That's awesome. I have questions about that, but we'll revisit. Mine is not nearly as profound. I actually have two that I'm reading, and the reason why I want to say two of them, it's wild how closely these two people relate and how closely like their paths track, and a lot of the similarities between them as like children and their approach to business. So the first is The Fish That Ate the Whale: The Life and Times of America's Banana King, and it's about Sam Zamuri. It's about the dude who basically built the banana business in the United States and pretty much the world, dude. He caused a species of banana to go extinct, and there are a ton of similarities, which is wild. It's called The First Tycoon: The Epic Life of Cornelius Vanderbilt, and this thing is pretty gnarly too. His story is nuts. They've got a lot of similarities. So two tycoons, totally different industries, not nearly as profound as the Lord's Prayer for Entrepreneurs. I've got bananas and steamboats.
Tell me about, I can't wrap my head around the banana, but also the title is called The Fish Who Ate the Whale. That just grabbed me. Tell me more.
Sam Zamuri was Jewish immigrant to the United States. He emigrated here when he was 10 or 11 years old, super young. And he was like the man of his house. So he emigrated to the United States, and his job as an 11-year-old kid was to establish a homestead for his family. So he traveled by boat, came over here, and he was supposed to write a letter to his mom and all of his brothers and sisters once he established home base and got a job and was working and had a house for him and everything. 11 years old. Are you kidding me? And that's super similar to Cornelius. When Cornelius Vanderbilt was working on his family farm, he grew up in Staten Island. He would have ferry boat, like a sailboat, and he was 8, 9, 10 years old, taking the sailboat from their farm in Staten Island across the bay and delivering loads of hay to Manhattan. And like that was a normal thing, and he'd be paid like a penny.
It's insane. And these days, a lot of parents would not even trust their 15-year-old to stay at home watching their little sister.
With the Banana King, The Fish That Ate the Whale, this dude was nobody in this like very elite circle, like the United Fruit Company, these huge conglomerate global corporations. And Zamuri comes in, and this is another point, like a similarity. He's just a badass dude. He's 6'3" when the average height for American men is like 5'7", and he's just mean and bad. and he like annihilates the fruit production business. At one point in time, he owned like 70% of the privately held land in Central America. Ridiculous stuff, dude. Ridiculous stuff.
Have you seen yourself move any of those golden nuggets into your day-to-day business already this year after reading?
Yeah, definitely. Not so much like proactively moving a certain golden nugget, but more of a mindset. Both Vanderbilt and Zamuri, throughout their lives, they were like really entrenched in their trade for a long time. And they had a ton of ups and downs, lots of near-death experiences, both for the business and like them themselves. They were like demonized in the public eye for one thing or another. Zamuri at one point was credited with like starting civil wars in Guatemala. Vanderbilt had people die on his steamships when boilers would explode. He was demonized for like the public saying that he was an extortionist and like monopolistic and chasing other competitors out of the business, which is true. He did. But what I really wanted to take away is throughout the ups and downs, they stayed in the business for a long time, and they stayed in long enough and enough time for them to be able to really understand their business and have some gleaning insights, or like some really key insights into inefficiencies in the business or opportunities for growth, or operational efficiencies within that business. For example, a yellow banana back when Zamuri first started his company was seen as trash. It was seen as like rotten fruit that you couldn't even use anymore. So like if you went to a produce auction, or if you went to a ship captain who just had a shipment of bananas come in on his cargo ship, like, hey, can I have these yellows? He'd like, yeah, dude, take them. I'm just going to throw them away anyway. I was going to toss them into the harbor. And so Zamuri would buy train cars. This dude, and he's a kid, and he would scrub floors and he'd save maybe $40 for an entire year of work. And he would take that $40 and buy an entire train car full of yellow, rotten bananas. And he'd hop on the train car and he'd sling bananas. He'd just sell them. The whole point, they stayed in the business for a long time. They stayed through the ups and downs of the business, and they stayed in long enough for them to really become masters at their craft. And as they became masters of their craft, that's when they identified opportunities and ways to really increase operational efficiencies, or maybe like an opening to a different arm of the business that other people didn't have. And once they saw it, they saw the opportunity because they had such a great background knowledge, and they went in, dude. They attacked it full force. Vanderbilt basically monopolizing every trade route in upstate and central New York. The Banana King, Mr. Sam Zamuri, owning 70% of the plantation lands in Central America. Pretty much 99% of the produce that came to the US came through his company. Wild stuff. Wild.
That's nuts.
Those are my takeaways.
I'm not surprised at all that 11-year-old kid slinging bananas enticed or jacks you up. Thinking back to your childhood being the 11-year-old kid slinging candy outside the bus window out of your suitcase. So a lot of parallels there. So I'm not surprised.
It was cool, dude. It was a cool, they were both really cool stories. I've got lots of things that I wanted to take out of it and say, but tell me about what you're reading, kind of like how the Lord's Prayer, and like, I'm curious how it relates to entrepreneurship at large.
He breaks down the Lord's Prayer line by line and basically asks a lot of pointed questions, more or less just revolving around how can I use this in my business. So hallowed be thy name. We can start there. Like, what is hallowed? It's giving the utmost honor, respect, and thanksgiving to God. So not losing sight of that every step of your journey. So with every success, every win, there is opportunity to be prideful, to maybe grow an ego, and maybe you don't hit it for the first 3 years of your entrepreneurship, but as soon as you have maybe one major win, then you can start getting a little bit egotistical and stuff. So he basically challenges you to always give utmost respect and glory and honor and thanksgiving to the one and only who is responsible for all that success. He puts you into those relationships that got you there. He presented those opportunities that got you there, and everything else. So a lot of challenging questions like that, every line by line, which I thought was really good.
Have you been able to apply that practically? And like, what does that look like as you're starting to like grow your company and as like volume is starting to increase? And I know it's hard, like stay humble and keep your head down and continue to work. And practically or like functionally that you're doing as a takeaway from this book?
Yeah. Definitely first, before I even start working, giving thanks for challenges and for every single success. And then he does talk about, like, he's not the one moving you like an action figure, opening your mouth, moving your hands, doing the day-to-day, but present those opportunities and maybe giving you the eyesight and the ears and the heart to recognize those opportunities that some people may not have capitalized upon. So I think reflecting back on opportunities that I may or may not have seized in the last couple of weeks, or may have seized in the last couple of weeks, and kind of giving thanks to those. And I think has helped me recognize opportunities then moving forward day in, day out. Small as in little opportunities for like little deals here and there. Maybe it's only like 175K, little thinker that you have to tear down, but it could be a lot of opportunity mixed into that one deal. Maybe it's a relationship that you're building with that particular seller or list agent, or you don't know what that buyer's going through. Maybe they've saved up for 5 years, that 115 grand chunk of change, and they have 5 kids at home, and their wife is working 2 jobs, and you don't recognize really the opportunity that comes from that, and the dramatic impact that you can have. So I think just broadening your eyes and your ears every single day for those opportunities that it gives you, I think has been the most game changer, I think, at least for the last couple of weeks from this particular book.
Yeah, that's awesome. And approaching each day from I think from a heart position, humility, and also a lot of it is not your control, that takes a lot of stress off of your own heart. I think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, let go, let God. He's got it. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the next part. I will be done. I mean, there's so much as entrepreneurs and business developers and stuff that can go wrong. We send out that little mug every closing. Real estate investing is like what your house is on fire, everything's on fire, your business is on fire, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So much opportunity, just let go and say, your will, I'm out of it. And that leaves you so lighthearted and light-minded, and gives you a clear mind to keep on pushing the business forward and just entrusting that it'll be fine.
There's an interesting corollary between the Lord's Prayer, the Banana King, and the Commodore Cornelius Vanderbilt. The Lord's Prayer gives you the sustainability and the head strength to sustain, to continue to push forward, to keep working through all of those really difficult encounters that you're going to have as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a real estate investor, as a realtor. You get pummeled by property managers and contractors and clients and tenants and other sellers and buyers. Everybody's so combative. It just is almost like they're at each other's throats all the time. And having a grounded heart, grounded in faith, I think is really the key to give you that sustainability to stay in the fight for the long term. Like Sam Zamuri, right? He was able to stay in that fight in this highly competitive wild west of the Central American produce trade, where banana cowboys would get shot or they'd be killed by a competitor, and they would just get drug off and placed into a ditch and covered with some clay and continue business as usual, nuts. And then to have your reputation kind of pulled through the mud. Let's say, for example, negative reviews that we get online about something. It's like Cornelius Vanderbilt, continue to push through, continue to make your operation better, more efficient, stronger, whatever it is. Being able to continue to press and continue to grow your company. You're not going to get very far without the grace of God and without approaching every single day from a heart position of humility. So I think that's an awesome tie between all three. Rock on. All right, let's end it there. We've got business to take care of today, brother.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Yay!